Ever since Benjamin's guardian spirit beast's ability was revealed to be named the Gypsy Life, Bohemian Rhapsody a week or so ago, I have been in a constant preemptive state of called it, without actually having called anything yet. Allow me to explain. I believe that first Prince Benjamin and fourth Prince Terror Sandwich have been narratively entwined from their inception. I don't think that's a particularly controversial or cutting-edge notion, and may lean towards the, being obvious end of the spectrum. Now, if you do accept the narrative connectedness of these two princes, then it shouldn't be too difficult to accept the notion that extra-diegetic allusions, such as the name of Benjamin's guardian spirit beast's ability, may give us clues to not only his, but also Terror's character and story. By the way, extra-diegetic is a fancy term for when an element of a story exists outside of a story's world, and is meant to only be understood by the audience. As very concrete examples, both Furyakov's Combo Master, Fullmetal Alchemist, and Shikaku's Concept King of Games each make references to, among other things, Fullmetal Alchemist and Yu-Gi-Oh! Respectively, as a way for the author, Togashi-sensei, to pay homage to these works. Yet these properties likely do not exist in the world of Hunter x Hunter. The references are meant for us, the readers, and not the characters. So, with all that in mind, I'd like for us to take a look into the symbolism of Benjamin's guardian spirit beast's ability, as can be gleaned from the lyrics of Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody. Now, while I don't think myself qualified to really do a deep dive on the potential meaning and themes of any song, let alone a classic of this magnitude, I think it's fair to say that Freddie Mercury's Bohemian Rhapsody is a song of identity, the acceptance of a harsh reality, and the taking of responsibility for an unjust act under potentially unfair material circumstances. While it's easy to get lost in the weeds with any interpretation, as one essentially forces a piece of art to fit their own preconceived notions and ideas, I'll do my very best to keep things simple and avoid that here. As such, I'll focus on the mostly explicit themes and symbolism of the song to make my point of how I believe it not only parallels Benjamin's character and story, but also foreshadows his fate. There are 4 sections of the song I'd like us to focus on. I'll read out the lyrics and then discuss how they pertain to Benjamin and Terror. Oh, and by the way, I'm borderline tone deaf, so I will spare you any attempt at singing the lyrics I'll be citing. Trust me, I'm doing both of us a favor here. That said, do be prepared to clench your butts in response to some next level cringe as I atonally read out the lyrics to this absolute classic. First, we of course have to focus on the opening lines of the song. Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy? Caught in a landslide, no escape from reality. Open your eyes, look up to the skies, and see. We can stop my butchering there. These verses fit Terror's ability to such a degree that it's a bit absurd. Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy? Is basically the reaction Salkov had upon witnessing the fourth prince's ability in chapter 417, trying to determine where the illusion stops and reality starts. It's also only a matter of time before Benjamin finds himself in a similar predicament when he realizes that his younger brother's face isn't actually stuck to the bottom of his boot. The caught in a landslide portion refers to the bioweapon 17, the Curse of the Have-Nots, and Beyond Seals, all of which are currently either aiming to kill or actually killing the first prince. Benjamin is a dead man walking multiple times over. To say he's caught in a landslide is an understatement. You can survive a landslide. The meaning of no escape from reality should be obvious, as Benjamin had to come to terms with the fact that his death is inevitable. Despite that, he does in a way aim to escape from reality by attempting to rise above the succession ritual itself and become the spiritual bedrock of the Kakin Empire. As such, this line, when paired with another I'll cover in my last point, I believe carries portentous meaning for Benjamin's fate. Finally, open your eyes, look up to the skies, and see is just too good. It can refer to Benjamin finally realizing that his current plan to eradicate all the princes and appoint his own bastard child to be the next king is simply untenable. It could refer to the fact that one needs to use Gyo and thus expand their perception in order to physically see the fatal curse of the have-nots afflicting him, or it could be in reference to Terror's ability and its reliance on keeping his eyes closed when his future sight is active, and that by opening them he gains the ability to move freely about while other people are stuck blindly living out his vision of the future. Moving on. Secondly comes the focus on one's maternal figure. Mama just killed a man, put a gun against his head, pulled my trigger, now he's dead. Mama, life had just begun, but now I've gone and thrown it all away. Bohemian Rhapsody places the subject's mother in the focus, and Benjamin is currently embroiled in a struggle against his own mother, who has seemingly chosen to support another of her sons, namely Halkenberg, instead of him. Chapter 417, in which Benjamin's GSB's ability is revealed, even ends with the first prince resolving to confront his mother, first Queen Unma. While the song itself carries a regretful and apologetic tone, where the protagonist apologizes for the emotional anguish he fears will come to his mother as a consequence of his actions, Benjamin's is far more combative and vengeful as he intends to confront his mother regarding her supposed betrayal. Or at least favoritism. As such, I don't think this narrative parallel goes any deeper than the simple emphasis on one's maternal figure. When first Queen Unma's relationship to Benjamin is explored in further detail, I could explore this topic further, but I'll leave this point be for now. Also, and I can't believe I almost forgot, the band is called Queen, and Unma's the first queen, so there's also that. Apart from the maternalistic theme, these verses also serve to emphasize Benjamin's folly in attacking Terror, despite plainly seeing that he was in total zetsu. While we do not know all the details of his ability as of yet, such as whether he can interact with people while they're stuck living out his vision of the future, it's possible that if Benjamin simply remained calm, closed off all exits, and waited for his brother to release zetsu, that he could have dealt with what he viewed as the biggest and sharpest thorn in his side. Instead, he let his own impulsivity and visceral hatred for his brother get the better of him, thus dooming his already far-fetched plan to have his illegitimate child appointed as the next king. For his plan to have had any chance of success, all the princes would have needed to be either dead or dying, which would evoke the Special Powers Act, forcing the current king into appointing an heir. While I don't think this would have gone as Benjamin imagined it, nonetheless, the idea was at least a plausible one. However, with Terror having faked his death, Benjamin's plan is, unbeknownst to him, literally untenable. Third is the theme of one's inevitable passing. Too late, my time has come, sent shivers down my spine, body's aching all the time. Goodbye everybody, I've got to go, gotta leave you all behind and face the truth. I'm sure you don't need me to explain in detail how this is extremely pertinent to Benjamin's current situation. The first prince's body is not only wrought by the disease 17, but also the curse of the have-nots. As previously said, the man is a dead man walking multiple times over. Now, these aforementioned verses of Bohemian Rhapsody mostly pertain to Benjamin and his situation as of chapter 417. However, this fourth point has to do with verses which I believe may act as foreshadowing of Benjamin's destiny and are what inspired this video in the first place. Mamma mia, let me go. Beelzebub has a devil set aside for me. I don't know how many of you are returning viewers, but my own personal name for Terror's ability has for the longest time now been Beelzebub Ephemeral 10 Seconds. Well, the ephemeral 10 seconds is obvious, and that's how the ability is listed on the Hunterpedia. I chose to go with Beelzebub because of the 666 symbol on the Nen Beast's chest, as well as its demonic, fly-like appearance, and Beelzebub is Hebrew for Lord of the Flies. As such, my current prediction is that Terror will in some way, shape, or form thwart Benjamin's plans, and in the worst-case scenario for Benjamin, may change his trajectory from apotheosis to catabasis. Instead of ascending to godhood as he intends, Benjamin may instead descend to damnation to become a vengeful spirit, forever bound to the mortal coil, forced to live out a fate worse than death. Regardless of whether he becomes damned or simply dies, both fates would be foreshadowed by the no escape from reality verse I mentioned in the first point. The Mamma Mia Let Me Go portion could imply that Queen Unma will play a direct role in his downfall as well. As things currently stand, it's possible that she's not only holding Benjamin's illegitimate child hostage on board, but also may be in league with Beyond, and may even be a Nen user as well. That said, for now, we'll just have to wait and see. All in all, all, I'm wagering that Terror's ability will either directly evoke the name of, or at the very least reference, Beelzebub. Since Shayapuf already had an ability named Beelzebub, and Chiamashi has Mute King, Lord of the Flies, perhaps Terror's Nen Beast would either have to borrow one of Beelzebub's many epithets, such as the Prince of Demons. Beelzebub is also often equated with and conceptualized as an alternative name or title for Satan, so any of the hundreds of names or epithets used for him could work as well. By the way, while this video was focused on the Bohemian Rhapsody part of the ability's name, I should at least mention that Gypsy Life is a composition by Robert Schumann and is the third composition of a three-part series. The composition was based on a poem by Manuel Gabel and describes a group of traveling gypsies as they set up for camp after a long day on the road. They eat, dance, and sing, and finally exhausted, fall asleep to the nostalgic visions of their homeland from which they've been banished. As dawn breaks, their musings fade, and they set out on their journey once more, to wherever it may take them. While there are numerous ways to interpret this in the context of Benjamin and his story, the gypsies being banished from their homeland and their destination being unknown could serve to further add to the notion that Benjamin will indeed fail in his quest to become the spiritual foundation to the Kakin Empire. That said, the cyclical routine of the gypsies could be argued to imply that the GSB's ability will indeed succeed, with the continued daily cycle of the gypsies corresponding to the GSB cycle of hopping from ruler to ruler. And that's that. I really cannot apologize enough for just reading out the lyrics like I did, but I just couldn't risk playing the actual song. Even short segments can get copyright claimed, and the channel already has a strike. If it helps ease the pain at all, you listen to me do it once in this video and never have to again, while I had to listen to it over and over while editing. In any case, what do you guys think? Does the song hold the key to Benjamin's fate? And if so, do you agree with my take, or do you have a different interpretation? Before signing off, I'd like to thank the thinkers and overthinkers for going the extra mile in supporting the channel. If you're interested in doing so as well, feel free to become a channel member or join my Patreon. As always, thank you very much for watching, your feedback is always appreciated, subscribe if you'd like more content like this, and I'll see you in the next one.